covering the entire Piedmont Triad and everywhere you are. This is WXII 12 News at 6.
Tonight on WXII 12 News at 6 o'clock, cash for guns. Hundreds turning out to turn in their firearms. How much local police paid to get those guns off the streets. Plus, a vote that could impact relations between the West and Russia is just a few hours away. What the international community is doing to protect Ukraine's sovereignty. But first, more winter weather is on the way as folks across the Triad continue to clean up from a barrage of harsh winter storms. Thanks for joining us tonight at 6 o'clock. I'm Cameron Kent here in the Weather Center with meteorologist Michelle Kennedy, and it seems like winter will just not let go.
Oh, absolutely. And we were hoping to see, more of the 70s, the great weather that we have today. But now we have a winter storm watch issued for folks in the northern Piedmont. So this is the big deal and the newest news in the weather tonight. Northern Piedmont snowfall may approach 1 to 4 inches as we go from Sunday through your Tuesday morning. So we're watching for that scenario. In addition, we have a chance of freezing rain and rain mixed in with sleet, not only for these northern counties, but down to the south. Unlikely we're going to see a lot of snow accumulations. And the good news may be that right now, even though we have a soggy Sunday, the wintry mix Monday into Tuesday that could lead to some freezing rain may not be the kind that would take down power lines, which would be a welcome relief to a lot of folks who are talking about the power outages just from last week. So we are hopeful that we're on the right track in that direction. But right now, 72 in Greensboro from highs today, 70 in Winston-Salem. Incredible weather. To think that we're jumping back into more of a cold snap scenario. Hard to believe, but it is happening. And colder temperatures tomorrow, some 20 to 30 degrees by Monday in temperature differences. So enjoy the 70s that you have right now in Mount Airy, 59 in Hillsville. You're at 69 in Greensboro. A gorgeous evening, and temperatures will remain there until we go overnight down into the low 40s. Highs tomorrow have trouble getting out of the 40s. We're going to be cool, and that northeasterly wind is going to do us in with those temperatures even as we go through Monday. So that transition here, that zone looks to be mainly north going into Sunday night, Monday, but the question is how much could we get across the Triad? We're going to have more details coming up on that in just a little bit.
Thanks, Michelle. An increased fire danger right now kept firefighters in Lexington up all night. A house fire just after midnight at a home on Welcome Arcadia Road. When fire crews arrived, fire and smoke was pouring through the roof. The cause of that remains under investigation. Those same conditions helped to fuel a brush fire in Forsyth County yesterday. This happened in the Vernon Farms housing development. Now, there was some concern that the fire would spread to nearby homes, but the fire crews were able to get a handle on it quickly, and thankfully no structures were damaged. Cleanup from all that severe weather we've had continued in the Piedmont Triad today, and residents in one place got a much-needed helping hand. Samaritan's Purse was helping homeowners in Alamance County clear storm debris out of their yards. Their disaster response unit arrived on Thursday afternoon. Homeowners that got that helping hand say they are thankful for the much-needed assistance.
We have a big magnolia tree down in our yard, and we found out about the Samaritan Purse people being around our city, and they're going to clean that up for us. And I mean, it has to be a blessing from God.
Now, if you need help from Samaritan's Purse and you live in High Point, call 841-6511. Burlington residents should call 227-6176. In a matter of hours, residents of Ukraine's Crimean region are going to vote on whether to become part of Russia. While the U.S. and Western powers have declared that vote illegal, American officials are bracing for the possibility that the region will stand with Russia and complicate diplomatic efforts to protect Ukraine's sovereignty. Brian Moore has more.
The United States and its international partners are ratcheting up pressure on Russia on the eve of a referendum that will determine the future of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. As polling stations were set up, there was little doubt the Russian-speaking region will vote to break away and join Russia.
Russia alone backs this referendum.
At the United Nations, Russia vetoed a Security Council resolution that would have declared the vote illegal.
The whole world knows the legitimate leadership of Ukraine did not instigate this crisis, and neither did the citizens of Ukraine. The crisis came with a label, made in Moscow.
Hours earlier, Secretary of State John Kerry met with his Russian counterpart in a failed attempt to ease the tensions. Where talk has failed, Americans are hoping the threat of sanctions will force Russian President Vladimir Putin to rethink his efforts to annex part of Ukraine. Senator John McCain led a bipartisan delegation of lawmakers pledging their assistance to the Ukrainian people.
Ukraine's journey will be difficult, but Ukrainians will not make that journey alone. The United States and your other partners will be with you.
While the lawmakers offered words of comfort, they were unable to bring the aid stalled by partisan infighting in Congress. With the Senate on break, it could be weeks before there's another vote on Capitol Hill. Brian Moore, NBC News.
Russia was the only vote against the UN Security Council resolution, 13 countries voting for it. China abstained. It has now been 8 days since the Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 vanished, and now Malaysia's Prime Minister says that someone on board that plane is responsible for it disappearing. In a news conference this morning, he said what little evidence there is points to deliberate action by someone on the plane, but it's too early to call it a hijacking. The last known contact with Flight 370 was 5 hours worth of timed pings from the jet's communication system and military radar tapes showing the plane making 2 deliberate turns. Experts say with the vast search area, it is likely a fisherman will uncover the next clue.
It's just going to take time, and I suspect what's going to happen first is someone is going to come across floating wreckage. I think that'll probably happen before anything else happens.
U.S. Navy has deployed anti-submarine aircraft in that region that can electronically see floating debris if 8 days later anything is still there on the surface. Dramatic new security video shows the explosion last week that rocked Harlem and led to the collapse of 2 apartment buildings. There it is. You see the blast as that camera points south on Park Avenue. Windows suddenly shattering and blowing shards of glass out onto the sidewalk. Debris also flying out of the building. Then thick smoke rolls in and covers up the camera. 8 people were killed in that explosion and more than 70 others injured after what appears to be a natural gas explosion. The NTSB is now investigating. State regulators say that changes are coming for a couple of Duke Energy coal ash ponds. North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources officials say they plan to update permits for ponds in the Asheville and Charlotte areas to stop coal ash from seeping into public waterways. Environmental groups say that the action doesn't go far enough. Earlier this week, Duke Energy announced plans to move ash pits at those sites and one along the Dan River, where a coal ash spill coated the Dan River with toxic sludge. Today, police in Winston-Salem hosted a gun buyback program to help get potentially dangerous firearms off the streets. Our Talitha Vickers has more on the event's big turnout.
Cash for guns. The turnout out here in Winston-Salem is so great that, as you can see out here behind me, vehicles basically lining this entire parking lot. In fact, at one point, they had to turn people away.
We've got a huge crowd here today.
From handguns to rifles and assault weapons, Winston-Salem police saw their fair share of guns during Saturday's gun buyback program.
A lot of people that have come through here said they had a gun, they didn't really know what to do with, they didn't have a use for it. So we're giving them a place to put the gun and giving them some money back for the gun.
A steady stream of vehicles could be seen at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds pouring into gate number 9 to turn over these weapons. $15,000 went fast. In just the first hour, $3,000 in cash handed out for these.
We've seen weapons of all types, a whole lot of handguns, a lot of shotguns and rifles, and just a really big variety of guns.
People who turned in assault weapons got $150, $100 for handguns and $75 for rifles and shotguns. The turnout was so great that police had to give rain checks for people to get their cash at a later date.
We had a set number of funds that we could use for today's buyback. We do have another one planned for April 12th. The city agreed to do a voucher program, is what we're doing right now, and people are turning in their weapons and getting a receipt, and then they will go to city revenue to get their money next week. Of course, if we get some guns that are stolen or have been used in a crime, we'll be able to link those up to their owners at a later date, and that will be good.
Once all of the weapons are collected, they have to go through a long process of filling out all of the serial numbers and a good description of each and every weapon. Officers say that this program is extremely important, very critical for the community in getting weapons off the streets. Reporting in Winston-Salem, Talitha Vickers for WXII 12 News.
The majority of the cash for that buyback program comes from police forfeiture funds. That's cash that was taken from criminals that's not being used as evidence. One North Carolina representative is heading up a new push for Kyla's Law after that 4-year-old little girl died on Thursday. Representative Robert Pittenger has called on Senate leaders to urge quick action on the Kyla Davenport Child Protection Act. It unanimously passed the House last December. At age 3, abuse from her stepfather left Kyla with with irreparable brain damage. Last month, her stepfather was convicted of felony child abuse. Well, right now, although the official holiday isn't until Monday, people are still packing downtown Winston-Salem to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Finnegan's Wake Irish Pub and Kitchen served up traditional Irish breakfast this morning to kick off the festivities, and people of all ages turned out to celebrate. It started at 7 in the morning. A portion of Trade Street in Winston was shut down to set up a tent for a concert later this evening. We talked to people who say the event is a great way to celebrate the holiday and keep up with Irish traditions.
I've never eaten Scottish eggs. I've never eaten, the sausage? Yeah. But I tried everything. It was very good, very good. Having a lot of fun.
And this year, Finnegan's Wake teamed up with Willard Cab Company so that patrons can get a safe ride home at a discounted rate all through the wee hours of Sunday morning. Boston beer staple Samuel Adams has pulled its sponsorship of Boston's St. Patrick's Day Parade. They say it's because the parade organizers are excluding gay groups, including a gay veterans group. That decision came after a gay cafe said that they were pulling Sam Adams off of their menu. Boston Mayor Martin Walsh says he has not yet decided if he will participate in the parade. It gets underway Sunday afternoon around 1 o'clock. The matchup for the ACC championship game tomorrow is finally set. Regular season champion Virginia took out ACC newcomer Pitt earlier today to secure their spot in the final game. And Duke just wrapped up a close one, edging out in-state rival NC State for the right to play for the title tomorrow. The winner of tomorrow's game in Greensboro gets an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament.
And you're looking back over Burlington. What a beautiful day out there. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s in many locations. Now sitting in the 60s, many spots. A great evening out there. Things are changing though. This was the last nice day we'll see for a while. Winter weather concerns. We'll talk about it next.